Scientific notation. If the decimal point is moved to the left, then we write the number as a times 10 to the n power. Okay, the exponent is positive. If you move it to the left, it's positive. If the decimal point is moved to the right, then we write the number as a times 10 to the negative n power. So if we move it to the right, then we're writing it with a negative exponent. Now a is going to be replaced with a number. Okay, they're just using a variable to show how you're going to write it. Write this down. Express each number in scientific notation. So they give us 201 million. We're supposed to write that in scientific notation.
201 times.
We don't do 201. We actually write the decimal behind the first number, so it would be behind the 2. Okay, and we guys, be quiet. We write everything behind it that's a significant number. Zeros are not significant. Okay, but the 1 is. Okay, so we write all the way to the last significant number, which is the 1. Okay, we do not need to write the rest of zeros. They are not significant. Okay, so we write 2.01, and then we raise it, okay, to the 10th power, or times 10 to the what power. So what we do is we see how many times we moved it to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 201 million is written as 2.01 times 10 to the 8th. 0.000051. Remember, we write the decimal behind the first significant number. And this is 5.1. We move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So we write times 10 to the negative 5th because we moved it to the right. Remember, when you move the decimal to the right, we write a negative exponent. When you move it to the left, you write a positive exponent. Write this down. Going to standard form, if n is greater than 0, then you move the decimal n places to the right. Okay, so if the exponent is bigger than 0, if it's a positive exponent, you're moving it that many times to the right. If n is less than 0, then we move the decimal place, or move the decimal point in places to the left. So if it's smaller than 0, if it's a negative number, we move it that many places to the left. Express each number in standard form. You have 6.32 times 10 to the 9th. So I need to write this in standard form just as it would be written with a bunch of zeros. So what I do is I just write down the numbers they give me. 632. Okay. If you look, I've already moved the decimal place 2 times, right? Because it's positive, I'm moving the decimal place to the right. I've moved it 2 already. I need to go 7 more times because I need to go a total of 9, right? So that means I got to add 7 zeros. Then I count back and put my commas in there. So that gives me 6,320,000,000. Everyone see how that's done? Write this down. 4 times 10 to the negative 7th power, because it's a negative exponent, we're moving it to the left. So what we do is we put the 4 and we're going to add zeros to the other side. Now remember, we've moved it 1 place, so we need to move it 6 more times, so it means we need to add 6 more zeros. And there's our decimal point. Okay? Is that correct? If you look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes, it is correct.
I got that.
3.201 times 10 to the 6. So we move the decimal, it's going to be 6 times. Now if you move it past the 1, 201, that's 3 numbers, so we need to add 3 more zeros. That gives us 3,201,000. Yeah.
Homework?
Okay, write this. Multiply with scientific notation. What I do is I put the like terms together. I multiply those, which my like terms here are the ones without exponents and the ones with exponents. So I take 3.5 times 7 and I take 10 to the negative third times 10 to the fifth. Well, 3.5 times 7 is 24.5. Ten to the negative third times 10 to the fifth. Remember, when you multiply bases, you add exponents. So what is negative 3 plus 5? It is 2. Okay. So here's what we have. Is this in scientific notation?
Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
No, it is not. This is 24.5 times 10 to the second power. Is that scientific notation?
No.
No. The decimal has to be behind the first number, right? So what I have to do is I have to move this here, right? So I have to make it 2.45, which means I have to add 1 to my exponent. This is my actual answer. I will not take 24.5 times 10 to the second power. That is not the right answer. You have to make it scientific notation. To me, what I do first is I work it all out and then move it to scientific notation. Because if you make that 2.45 but don't add 1 to like the negative 3 plus 5, you're going to forget it. You're going to get 2 and leave it at that. Write this down. So what I do is I take 6.5 times 8.7. I also take 10 to the 12th times 10 to the negative 15th. 6.5 times 8.7 gives me 56.55. I have 10 to the 12th times 10 to the negative 15th. So remember we were multiplying bases, so we add exponents. 12 plus negative 15 is negative 3. What I have to do is I have to make this scientific notation, so I have to move this over 1 time. So I write 5.655 times 10 to the negative. Now, do I add 1 or do I subtract 1? I went to the left. If you look in your rules, when going to scientific notation, if you go to the left, then you add. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Write this down. Now we're going to divide with scientific notation. With scientific notation, 3.066 times 10 to the 8th divided by 7.3 times 10 to the 3rd. Remember, when we're dividing, okay, we're subtracting exponents. So first thing we do is we just go ahead and split these up. 3.066 divided by 7.3. We also have 10 to the 8th divided by 10 to the 3rd. Well, 3.066 divided by 7.3. If you work it out, you should get 0.42. Then we times it by 10. We need to find out what power. So we take 10 to the 8th, divide by 10 to the 3rd. Remember, when you're dividing bases, you subtract exponents. So 8 minus 3 is 5. Is this our answer? No, we have to make the scientific notation. So I move 1 that way. So 4.2 times 10 to the, okay, we are moving to the right, so it means we subtract, so it's in the 4th. Write this down. 2.3958 times 10 to the 3rd divided by 1.98 times 10 to the 8th. So we take 2.3958 divided by 1.98. Okay, ups to them. We also take 10 to the 3rd divided by 10 to the 8th.
I got this
one. 2.3958 divided by 1.98 gives me 1.21. 10 to the 3rd divided by 10 to the 8th. We're dividing bases, so we subtract exponents. That gives me 10 to the negative 5. This is at 1.21, so do I need to move it? No, it's already in scientific notation. There's my answer. And here's your assignment.